So on January 3rd, 2026, the United States carried out one of the most dramatic military operations in decades in the Western Hemisphere. The US forces launched a large-scale strike inside Venezuela, ultimately capturing the Venezuela president and his wife, and then flew them out of the country to New York. Why this extraordinary act has been described by critics as an adoption and a blatant violation of international law, the US government, however, frames it as a necessary legal and security operation. So, yeah, five reasons why the US government, led by Donald Trump, took action against Venezuela. Reason number one: the criminal indictment against Nicolas Maduro. The US prosecutors have for decades accused Nicolas Maduro and members of his inner circle of leading a narco-terrorism conspiracy and trafficking massive quantities of cocaine into the US territory. Now, by bringing these charges to a US federal court and describing the Venezuela president as the head of a criminal enterprise, the US government, led by Donald Trump administration, has created a legal pretext to justify this extraordinary measure. Now, this narrative reframes Nicolas Maduro not only as a political adversary, but as a criminal whose actions directly affects the American society. Whether this argument holds up internationally is fiercely debated. Reason number two: drug trafficking and border security. The issue of drug trafficking and border security has been central to the US political debate for years, with record numbers of migrants at the US southern border and the rampant concern over the opium crisis. Maduro's government has long been accused for facilitating or turning a blind eye to major criminal networks like the so-called Tren de Aragua. So, by acting so decisively, the US government signals that it sees Venezuela not just as a distant geopolitical problem, but as a direct threat to national security. Although some analysts argue that this rationale was crafted. Reason number three: oil reserve. Venezuela sits on the largest proven oil reserve in the world, estimated at over 300 billion barrels. Now that's massive. Anyways, for decades, Venezuela's oil industry has been nationalized and plagued by mismanagement, economic collapse, and corruption. So, after Maduro's capture, President Donald Trump announced plans for US companies to invest billions of dollars into rebuilding Venezuela's petroleum sector. Now, this signals that energy interest was in fact a part of the broader strategy. So here's the trick: control over Venezuela's oil could reshape global markets, reduce reliance on foreign rivals, and create powerful economic leverage for the US while undermining allies of Venezuela such as Russia and China. Reason number four: geopolitical competition and influence in the hemisphere. Venezuela, under Maduro, had developed close economic and military ties with Russia, China, Iran, and Cuba. For decades, the US foreign policy in Latin America has been shaped by the Monroe Doctrine, a principle asserting that no external power should interfere in the region. But as Russia and China expand their footprint through military cooperation, loans, and oil deals, the US strategies increasingly saw Venezuela as a foothold for rivals within America's traditional sphere of influence. And so, by removing Maduro and instilling new leadership amenable to the US interests, the United States aimed to contain foreign influence and reassert dominance in its neighborhood. Finally, reason number five: domestic political signaling and ideological positioning. So this is perhaps least discussed, but it is deeply significant, and I will explain why. You see, Trump administration has faced growing criticism from both sides of the aisle over its handling of US global leadership. And so, by undertaking such a bold move, the US government sends a strong message domestically that it is willing to undertake such a decisive action, not just talking, in defense of national interests. Additionally, for nations watching around the world, the operation serves as a statement that the US will not shy away from taking unilateral action even at the risk of international condemnation. Now, however strong or mighty that statement may have sounded, it also raises critical what ifs like, what if this sets a precedent for other powerful nations to feel entitled to remove leaders they dislike without legal mandates? What if it triggers backlash across Latin America or pushes other countries closer to the US rivals? What if the transition government fails and Venezuela descends into chaos? See, these scenarios are not just speculations, they are serious possible outcomes with real geopolitical stakes. So if you stayed up to this point, please do not forget to leave a comment below. I would like to hear your reason as to why the United States took action against Venezuela. And also, do not forget to give a thumbs up to this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.